Starting now.
Cool.
What
And will there?
is... What's that?
Nope. You're good. Sorry. Sorry.
It's going... It's all
All
right.
right.
What's going
Great
on,
start.
guys?
Yeah.
Welcome back to TGW 98. Today I am joined by Oz from OzTalksHW. You want to tell the people what you do over there on your channel and plug it up? And there's a link down in the description below, by the way.
Cool. What's up, everyone? So I'm Ozzy, and I focus on pretty much budget hardware. So anything from the used market to the new market, I'm covering that. And then I do some pretty interesting videos as well that kind of get away from the norm, like how hardware was 5, 10 years ago. So yeah, that's just a little bit about me.
Yeah, I've kind of been noticing that about the tech scene a lot recently. It's like there's so many new channels coming up, and everyone is doing a lot of diverse but also kind of similar content and going back and like testing old systems. And I really like that kind of stuff. Just kind of seeing where we've come from to where we are now, and seeing if people can still kind of run those older systems, older GPUs and things like that. The $100 GPU video you did, I really liked actually. That was really good. I liked seeing that.
Thanks.
That was something I was interested in seeing because I just did a video on the 560, but I didn't have a whole suite of $100 graphics cards to compare against it. So when I saw that video go up, I was like, "Ooh, this is something I'm actually really curious in, as just a source of information for the future for referencing." So
Yeah. I'm glad it helped you out. That was like 15 hours of benchmarking. So I'm glad that people actually found it useful because there was that I was coming to a point where I was just like, oh man, I just kind of want to stop because there was so many video cards to do. But I mean, if it helped people out, then I'm all for it.
yeah, benchmarking takes forever, and it's I can't ever seem to escape it. It's like no matter how many benchmarks are run or how many cards are tested, there's always that one person. It's like, why didn't you test this card too?
Yeah. You can. I've learned from doing YouTube for almost a year or about a year that you just can't really please everyone, and it sucks because I definitely want to please everybody with my videos, but you just can't do that. So I try to, you know, curate myself or my videos to the masses, and hopefully that's enough for people. And then if there's some obscure request somebody needs, then hopefully they can use what I've given them to kind of figure it out and go from there.
Yeah, it's good stuff, man. I do enjoy watching your content for sure. Oh, I'm on the wrong audio device. I just realized.
Yeah, everybody's saying that your audio is really low.
No, it was my. Well, I was trying to. Well, no, I boosted my audio up on my mic, but then I was realizing that the my desktop was on the wrong thing, so I was trying to adjust the levels for Skype also, because sometimes usually to put Skype way louder than the microphone. So let's put.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell them now I boosted it. See if it's good now. Yeah, they're saying it's better now.
Okay.
Yep, yeah, they're saying it's better. I gave it about a 12 decibel boost. I don't know what it is. Like when I record this mic for anything else, like it sounds perfectly fine. But as soon as I go into OBS, I have to put on like an insane decibel boost just to get a normal volume level.
Yeah, that's very, very weird.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
if I turn up the gain any louder on my Scarlett Solo, you'll basically be able to hear every noise in this room. My breathing, you'll hear everything that happens in the room. If I turn up the gain anymore, because you'll just hear all of it. So it's like a very, very fine balance I have to strike between being heard and not making sure you don't hear every breath coming out of my nose.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I'm sure no one wants to listen to. But yeah, thanks for joining us, though, Oz. Be sure to check him out. Like I said, I linked to him right at the top of the description, so go hit him up, give him a subscribe if you enjoy the content. And yeah, we've got quite a few good topics this week. Obviously, E3 is going on. That's kind of a big thing with gaming right now, so we've got quite a few gaming topics. But half the show, I would say, is gaming this week, with some of our games that we're excited about, some stuff with Xbox, and obviously Threadripper, which leads into our first topic here. Because it's been a few weeks since I've done a TGW. So Threadripper has been announced since then. They announced that back at Computex. And now, the rumors have been circulating. People are trying to figure out exactly when it's going to be coming out. We know Vega is going to be coming at SIGGRAPH in about a month's time, about a month and a half, actually. And there had been rumors circulating that Threadripper was going to be coming as soon as July 27th, although according to Kit Guru now, and their sources at AMD, it looks like it may be pushed back to around August 10th, but nothing has been official yet. There's been no official dates, whether it be July 27th or August 10th. Those are just the two rumored dates that have been floating around right now. And Kit Guru is saying it's going to be closer to August 10th. And I'm really excited for these CPUs to be coming out. I think it's going to be really impressive, especially considering with what Intel tried to do, to counteract this at Computex with their insanely overpriced CPUs up to $2,000. We still don't have pricing on this yet, though. What do you think about Threadripper and the pricing and all of that?
So I'm pretty excited about the Threadripper in all honesty, and just by Intel's response to it, you can tell that it's definitely shaping up to be uh, a really good CPU for the market. So, for instance, we usually what Intel does is they have their top end video card, or not video card, sorry, their top end CPU. It gets scaled down one step. So before they had the 10 core, that was the highest, and now that's going to be scaled down one, and then the 12 core is going to be the highest. But in response to AMD, they showed the 18 core CPU in order to, counteract and say that they have the most cores. So in all honesty, I think that it's just showing that AMD really has something good here with Threadripper. I think in order for either of them to win the market, they really need to be in control of three things. And I think those three things are going to be performance, value, and availability. And after that, what was the other one? I can't remember the other one. But basically, I think that AMD is winning in availability and in value. So right now, I think Threadripper is definitely making out to be a good competitor for the higher end.
So I've seen a rumor that was circulating about maybe a week or week and a half ago that the highest priced Threadripper SKU, the 16 core 32 thread, which is rumored to be boosting, I think, at 3.7 gigahertz, a base of 3.4, which we're going to be talking about in a moment, is going to be $849. That's the rumor right now. Do you think that's going to be the final price? And if so, I mean, how do you think that's going to stack up with, Intel doing their 18 core, which is only two more cores, honestly, for another $1,200? I don't think it's worth it.
Yeah, it's definitely not worth it. If that's the real price, then AMD definitely has a winner here. For me, I think that's kind of believable in all honesty. I mean, they already brought 8 cores and 16 threads to the consumer market for like under $400. So 16 cores and 32 threads for almost double the price doesn't seem that far off in all honesty. I think this whole 18 cores, 30 whatever amount of threads, 36 threads that Intel is offering for about $2,000 is a little bit far-fetched, even for the enthusiast market, especially when they have less features, and the performance differences between 18 cores and 16 cores isn't that much, and the IPC differences, or pardon me, single-threaded application performance differences between Ryzen and Intel's counterpart is not that big of a difference. So in all honesty, 850 doesn't seem very far-fetched. If it was about 1,000, I would still say that's pretty fair. And I'm hoping it's that price, just so it can drive more competition.
Yeah, I think $850, even though that's a lot of money for a single CPU component, but it still puts more computing power into the hands of more people, which is always going to be a good thing, because you're going to have people that maybe couldn't create at the level that they would have had to put up before to be able to have that many cores with Intel. Makes it a lot more affordable. Even at $850, it's going to make it more affordable for more people. So you're just going to have more content creators coming out of this. Not just YouTube, animation, everything really is going to be coming out of this. And I think Ryzen's been doing that in general. I mean,
exactly.
Seeing stuff like the Ryzen 1600, which you can get for $250, which could turn someone with an i5, it could turn them into a really good video editor overnight, as far as having the capability and the horsepower to be able to drive that kind of stuff. Because when it comes down to those things like video editing, rendering out videos, the difference with Intel's 6-core 12-threaded parts with Ryzen 1600 versus something like the 6800K is going to be significantly smaller, I would say, than what you're going to see in gaming performance, between, comparable parts. So, yeah, Ryzen's just been doing really good kind of across the board, and I'm excited for this. I can't wait to see how fast I can render out like 4K, 60 FPS videos with Threadripper. I'm fortunate enough, I guess, that I use Sony Vegas. I haven't made the jump to Adobe Premiere, which I know is limited on the amount of cores you can utilize. But Sony Vegas will use every core and thread I throw at it. So, I mean, like, just the other day I rendered out a 10-minute 60 FPS video, but it was 25 minutes long, and it took me almost an hour. So I can't wait to see when I throw 16 cores, 32 threads at that. I feel like it's going to save me so much time. And then over the course of a year, you're talking about hours of your life right there, maybe even days of your life you get back from not having to wait for the process of rendering out
Yeah.
videos.
So are you for sure going to upgrade to Threadripper, do you think? Based on what you've seen anyway.
I definitely want one. I mean I'm really hoping that AMD is going to send those out as review samples. Like really,
Yeah.
really, really hoping. Like I don't know if they are. Like I know Intel is really hesitant when it comes to their high-end desktop stuff, like X99 previously, and now with X299, they don't really send those out too much as review samples. Only a few select people will get them. So I'm not too sure what AMD is going to do on that, but I hope I get one. If not, I may have to consider buying one.
Well, I mean, it's definitely going to be cheaper than the competition. So, I mean, for its performance, I don't think you'll be sacrificing that much. But like always, you got to wait for benchmarks, and we'll see how that goes.
Yep. And as far as the clocks are concerned, we still don't have anything concrete on those yet. But the next thing I have up here is just it was a leaked engineering sample slide that was posted up by Video Cards actually, and they are saying that the 16 core 32 thread is going to be at 3.4 base and boosting to 3.7, which is like pretty good. That's like comparable to the 1800X. It surprised me seeing that they're not losing any of that speed by having the cores and the thread counts. The scaling on Ryzen is almost seems
phenomenal.
to be it's
Yeah.
it's perfect. It's literally perfect scaling, and then you can take that and you could add it into the performance as well. I mean, you could theoretically take an 1800X clocked at 3.7 gigahertz, run all of your tests, and then just double it, and you'll have a pretty good idea where the
Of
CPU
what
is going to land.
Threadripper is gonna stand.
And I think I
Exactly.
just gave some content creators a video idea right there. Simulated Threadripper performance. Get
Yeah,
it
I
done.
wouldn't be
Mind
surprised
blank
if
tech. Get it done. I'm waiting
in
for.
2 weeks, I bet there are going to be like 2 or 3 videos out with that.
I already had the idea like a week ago, and I was just waiting for Mind Blank Tech or someone that's really technical out there to do it. Or you. You've done a simulated video before, haven't you?
I have. I actually
Yeah.
simulated the R3. It wasn't. I think at least in the video that I did, it was definitely GPU bound because the differences between performance numbers wasn't that great. I definitely should have tested it at 720p because I only had a 1060 on me. But I mean, simulation tests are definitely a pretty accurate way to see how future products will perform. I mean, Linus Tech Tips did one for Ryzen, and it was pretty close to the simulation. So, video idea. Somebody do it. I think somebody should.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like there's going to be some people out there that are going to be naysayers and be like, oh, all you did is just take your performance and you just put it in a calculator and multiply it by 2. I'm like, yeah, that's basically what I did.
That's what a simulation is. So.
But based on Ryzen's architecture, that should be pretty accurate because you should theoretically get 100% scaling. You know, you might have some differences depending on the application or the software that you're using, but hardware-wise, it should be perfect scaling, honestly.
Yeah, it's definitely not far off. Actually, what I am more excited about than Threadripper, and this probably ties back to me being a budget person, is Raven Ridge. Just looking at that, I'm pretty excited to see how the laptop market is going to be playing out with APUs being used with Vega graphics integrated. So I'm very excited about that.
Yeah.
I know we were teased that at Computex, so I'm hoping that we'll get some laptops with Vega integrated graphics out soon. So hopefully I'll be able to get myself a laptop and showcase it on the channel, but we'll see.
Yeah, there had already been over on Tweaktown. They had posted up one. This is a leaked benchmark running on Geekbench, which was run. They showed for comparison's sake, they showed a Xeon processor, which which has a boost of 3.6 gigahertz, a base clock of 2.6, but the same core and thread count of 2.6. And it did show that beating out the Ryzen processor in multi-threaded with a score of 30,450, while the Threadripper had 24,539. And this is just, rumor, take it with a grain of salt. I was actually surprised to see that the single core was higher than the Xeon, but they were slower on the multi-core. But just as the article mentioned, Anthony over there at Tweaktown had mentioned, obviously they're still yet to fully optimize the Ryzen processors, so we still might see better multi-core performance in the future, and seeing that single-core performance higher than the Xeon definitely gives me some hope for that maybe by the time motherboard manufacturers have optimized for Ryzen, and we've got better drivers and all that we might see this doing better than the Xeon CPU they compared it against, which was the E5-2697A V4. So, yeah, pretty interesting to see that leaked benchmark going up there. But, yeah, the single core better. What do you think about that one there?
So I feel like there are a lot of discrepancies there. I'm not buying it so far.
Yeah.
If you do a quick search of the 1800X on Geekbench 4, you can see that the multi-core score is only a little bit less than the 16-core one that they have there. Although the single-core score is almost about the same, but the multi-core score seems to be really, really low for 16 cores at 3.4 gigahertz. So hopefully it's just a fake or fluke. If that's really the performance of a 16-core processor at 3.4 gigahertz, then it doesn't look very enticing. But based on what I've seen, it seems kind of a little
fishy.
Not kind of, but it seems fake. Yeah, a little fishy. I'll definitely have my doubts.
I mean, it would not be hard to just find what font they're using on this on the Geekbench and just go ahead and fake this yourself in Photoshop or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, this would not be a hard screenshot to fake, but you know, this if it is true, they showed on here, they showed 32 megabytes of L3 cache, another 8 megabytes of L2 cache, so you got 40 megabytes of cache total there, which is not bad. But there's always the possibility, as you mentioned there, of it possibly being faked with these leaks. It's always a possibility, so do take it with a grain of salt. But all the links are down below for this, guys, if you do want to check it out. But I don't think I have anything else on Threadripper. Do you have anything else you wanted to add on Threadripper before we move on?
Not right now. I'm pretty excited about it. That's about it, and we'll see when benchmarks are out just how good it is. So.
Yeah, I'm mostly interested in, like I said, for the multi-threaded performance for this content creation. I'm not sure how exciting it's going to be as far as gaming is concerned. If people are sitting there, you know, kind of waiting on the edge for gaming benchmarks with these CPUs, I don't think I would be too excited about that. You probably will get pretty close performance with something like an 1800X or a 1700 to their top parts. So I really wouldn't be waiting on this for a gaming CPU. But, you know, there's always people that are going to do content creation and also game on the side. And I'm sure they'll be able to perform comparably to what the Ryzen 7 CPUs did as far as gaming, considering that their clock speeds have not dropped off at all, which is impressive.
It's very impressive. So,
yeah, good on AMD for that. Next up, we have a bit of an Nvidia thing, which the original source of this actually goes back to Hardware Canucks, who was at Computex, and they spotted this. So, you know, good on you to Dimitri over at Hardware Canucks. Awesome guy, awesome channel. Check them out if you haven't already by some chance. But they spotted a big difference between the HDR and SDR monitors that Nvidia had set up side by side. And I actually saw a demo similar to this maybe about a month and a half ago. I was at an Acer event in New York City, and they did a comparison with HDR and SDR side by side, and I could definitely spot the difference between the two, but I didn't go and check into the monitor settings to see if they did any sort of tomfoolery like what Dimitri uncovered here, where he actually caught Nvidia totally like trying to make HDR look way better than it is by turning down the settings in the monitor, which is seriously messed up that Nvidia is doing that. They went into the monitor settings, they had like contrast like turned way down and all this other stuff to make it look super faded with what Dimitri described as TN-like. So really messed up that Nvidia is doing that. Just really, really shady. And even in his comparison video, which I watched all the way through, he noted that Mass Effect Andromeda specifically actually looked better to him in SDR versus HDR. And you could see it in the video comparison side by side. And it seems like what that comes down to is the artists that are working on the game, and Mass Effect Andromeda has had its issues overall. You know, it's not been well received. It wasn't well optimized for the PC, so it doesn't surprise me that the HDR was not a good implementation there. But yeah, just really, really messed up by Nvidia for messing with the monitors on this one.
Yeah, I definitely have to give it to Dimitri for like actually taking the time to check the settings, because I feel like probably most people would not even think about checking the settings. So if you guys haven't watched the video, he basically just reverted everything back to factory settings. Somebody from Nvidia definitely changed the contrast and the brightness to make it look a little bit more faded than it usually would. What I don't really understand is why they did that. I personally, and I'm sure this is different for everybody because it's definitely subjective because it's a picture that you're looking at. But I thought that even when the SDR monitor was at factory settings, the HDR monitor definitely looked better for me. So I do disagree with Dimitri on that, but again, it's definitely subjective. I thought the HDR one looked a lot more realistic than the SDR one, even when everything was reverted back to what it should have been. So that's just my opinion on it. I'm definitely not condoning Nvidia for doing that. That was pretty shady by them. But yeah, I like HDR, honestly. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
So
I like it as well. I mean, what I noticed in the side-by-side comparison is that like the dark areas of the screen, I thought those definitely looked a lot better. Like the shadows and things like that, and the lighting in general looked a lot better. The only part where I agreed with him that that he did show some colors, like the reds on some of the foliage around, did look a little bit more muted on the HDR monitor. But the other stuff, like the lighting and everything, I thought looked rather good on the HDR side of the picture. I have an HDR TV downstairs, and it looks incredible. Like it is. I mean, it's a 4K screen as well, but I like the HDR on it more than the 4K because I watch 1080p content on it. It doesn't really bother me. But when I put in, like an Ultra HD Blu-ray, like the Revenant that has HDR built onto it, it is just night and day of a difference when looking at it versus a non-HDR screen. So this whole thing with Nvidia, messing with the panels to make it not a fair comparison is completely unnecessary because HDR can sell itself on its own. It doesn't need it doesn't need to be going up against a gimped monitor just to look good. It looks good on its by itself.
Yeah, so that's why I didn't really understand why they did that. It's always going to be beyond me. But a question that I get asked a lot more often than I used to was, is HDMR or HDR, is that a gimmick that people are using? I just wanted to kind of hear your thoughts on that. If you thought HDR is like something that is here to stay and it's something that definitely is worth the price premium.
No, I think HDR is. I think I like HDR honestly more than 4K. Like I said, recently they just upgraded a couple of the theaters in my local cinema to having Dolby Atmos, not just surround, but the Dolby Vision as well. That they use like a laser projector, and it's got HDR in the cinema and everything. And while the sound is incredible, the visuals are also amazing. I saw like Alien Covenant with like a gigantic theater screen with like high like HDR. It was just insane. Like seeing like the shadows and all of that on the screen. I've never seen blacks like that, on a screen like that accurate. And it's like the dark parts of the screen weren't even like all like completely. What's the word I'm looking for? When something's too black in an image. Forgetting the word that they usually use for that.
Crushed.
Okay.
Crushed. Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Yes, crushed. Yeah, when the blacks get really crushed in an image, you'll see that sometimes in SDR displays. But in this, it was not like that at all. Like even in the really heavily shadowed areas, you could still see very fine details, which was really impressive. And like I honestly don't ever want to go to another cinema again. It's like there was an issue recently. I saw Wonder Woman, which was in Dolby Atmos, which was amazing, but they were having an issue back in the projection room with the previews and stuff. So it took them like 40 minutes to get the movie started. So they gave everyone free guest passes, which I've got right here. They gave everyone free guest passes for another movie, and I was looking today on Fandango because I had like a few hours to kill before the show. I didn't have anything to do, so I was just like, maybe I'll go see a movie. And like there was a movie I wanted to see, and it was called What Comes at Night. But then I was like, oh, it's not in the Dolby Atmos cinema, so I don't even want to go.
So you're not doing it anymore.
No.
Yeah.
I'm spoiled now. I only want to go to Dolby cinemas. I'm sorry. I'm spoiled now. That's it. It's Dolby cinemas or nothing at all.
No, that's completely fair. It's kind of like when, I don't know if you've experienced this, but I personally have. When you play at 30 FPS all the time and then you go to 60 FPS, or when you are playing at 60 FPS and then you jump to 144, like it's just a huge difference in terms of everything. And like, if you go anywhere or like any tier below that, it just feels so much worse. So, I mean, I definitely see where you're coming from. It
Yeah,
makes sense.
my come away from seeing a few movies in Dolby is that they just need to make all of the theaters Dolby now. It just needs to be the new standard.
Adobe, new
Yep.
standard.
Kind of like how 60 FPS should be the standard for gaming. Although Phil Spencer seems to disagree with that, I've heard.
Yep.
Yep. So,
So I've heard. So you've heard anyway.
yeah,
But
that goes into the next topic with the Xbox One X, which was announced this week at E3. What did you think about the Xbox One announcement?
so I'm personally not very excited for Xbox One X. And that's because mostly I'm not very excited about consoles in general. I'm glad that they're definitely pushing the standard for 4K, but in all honesty, I would rather have them, focus on fantastic 1080p gaming because they obviously have the hardware to do so, than to push into a boundary that, they're probably not too ready for. And now the PS4 Pro does perform pretty well at 4K for what it's worth. I definitely agree there, but it could perform even better at 1080p. And I think that's what a lot of them are missing when it comes to this. And I think at this point, they've kind of used 4K as a marketing tactic so more people can buy it. Because if you look back, the last 5, 6, 7 years, PCs have been playing games at 1080p 60 FPS for a very long time. Consoles only really started doing that with the Xbox One and the original PS4, and even then, not all games are running at 1080p 60 FPS. So I feel like if they marketed the Xbox One X as a 1080p 60 FPS console, it would really drive a lot of gamers away because 4K is what everything should be on nowadays. So
Yeah, it was like I mentioned in the video I did earlier today. It's just it's true that definitely 4K is a more marketable term. I think more people know what 4K is than 60 FPS. I mean, even my grandmother knows what 4K is.
yeah, exactly.
But she doesn't know what 60 frames per second is. I mean, I even know, I've talked to, teenagers and, my brother, his friends, and my girlfriend's son and his friends, and like, frame rates and stuff like that. Because they most, like, the kids, they usually play on the consoles. But sometimes they'll come into the room in here and they'll see me playing a game and I'll just be like, you see how smooth that is? You don't know what that is, do you?
Yeah.
And I'll just show them and they'll just be like, it's so smooth and pretty. They're just like, what is that? I'm like, it's called the PC. Tell your parents to cough up $1,000 and you can join the master race. But yeah, they're pushing the whole 4K agenda, and
Yeah.
to be honest, it's not even really true 4K, which is so funny because in this article I've got up here, where Phil Spencer was talking about how it's not even a competitor for the Xbox One S, because he says, quote unquote, he says, I look at the Pro as more of a competitor to S than I do Xbox One X. This is a true 4K console. By the way, I just watched a tech video earlier today from Digital Foundry that showed Assassin's Creed Origins on the Xbox One X, and they showed that it was checkerboard rendering. That means it's not true 4K.
Okay.
So they're touting this true 4K. I saw that on the big screen as well, during the E3 conference that they gave, and like true 4K. Like, yeah, it's true checkerboard 4K. It's definitely true checkerboard 4K. So yeah, I don't know what they keep on pushing this, that it's going to be 4K, and they may be able to push that with checkerboard rendering, with the GPU they have in there, which is certainly impressive. The GPU is actually really impressive.
Is.
Pushing 6 teraflops with 12 gigabytes of DDR5. There's no issues with that GPU there that shouldn't be able to push decent visuals or 60 FPS gaming. But what they're held back by more than anything is actually the CPU. They're still running on that Jaguar processor with 2.3 gigahertz, even though it's an 8-core CPU. I think they're being held back by that more than anything.
Okay. And do you think that affects 4K that much that it poses an issue?
I don't think the CPU affects 4K as much, but I think it affects the frame rate. Just the same way that it affected it on the previous Xbox One or the Xbox One S.
Okay.
With many of the titles where they weren't able to hit 60 FPS, but they could hit native 1080p.
Gotcha.
So,
Yeah, I'm not the most excited about it. I think what we're seeing with the PS4 Pro, I think the Xbox One X is probably going to hit around there, maybe a bit higher. Um, but I don't really see too much coming out of this. So hopefully, I would like to be proven wrong because that'd be pretty cool. The Xbox One X or consoles in general do have a few things over PCs, such as Blu-ray and Ultra HD. Most PCs don't have Blu-ray capabilities, and if you do, it's going to cost a premium. So there are things like that, which I guess although they're catered to certain people, they definitely have a place in the market. But we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I think the only way I think I'll pick one of these up is if they come out with a new Fight Night game.
Okay, yeah.
Because they don't come out in PC, and I really like Fight Night games. Like I love Fight Night. I love Knockout Kings back in the day. Boxing games have always been a lot of fun. We don't get them on PC.
Yeah, exclusives are definitely a selling point too. Unfortunately, Microsoft doesn't have that many Xbox exclusives. So
no, Sony's killing in that department, and
Yeah.
even the Xbox One exclusive that they do have actually tend to come out on PC now because of the whole unified Windows platform, which they've been pushing for a couple of years now, and they've stuck to it. Most of the Microsoft exclusives are just that now, Microsoft exclusives. So they come out on Xbox and PC, which
exactly
makes sense to me. I think they should have been doing that all along. I mean, they own Windows. Why would you not put your games on there where you could sell it to more people?
So that actually, I was thinking about that, and it's probably just so they can sell consoles more. I think that's probably the simplest explanation for it. Another selling point. So
yeah, I mean they always try to do that. They try to push the consoles, but the more money they make is usually comes from software. So that's why they try to push the hardware out so they can make the money from the software.
Yeah.
So that's why I would like to see it on PC as well. I mean, you've already got people out there with the hardware. They just want to, but they want to play the games like Gears of War. It's like, yeah, people want to just play that on the PC. There might not be as many people as console, but it doesn't mean we don't want to play it. That's just money sitting out there.
Exactly. There's enough that it matters. So.
Yep. And keeping with the whole unified Windows platform, or UWP for short, it looks like we may actually possibly get a official emulator for the original Xbox, not the Xbox 360 or the Xbox One, but the original Xbox, which kind of makes sense as Phil Spencer, although how much I may dislike him at the current moment. He discusses that it would be a lot easier to emulate the original Xbox because it was on an x86 chip, which is where it actually got its name from. That's where Xbox comes from, is from x86. Yeah. That's where the name comes from. So it would be very easy for them to go ahead and port those original Xbox games over to the PC and then make them UWP, exclusive titles on the Windows 10 store.
So I'm very excited about this. So as far as I know, the original Xbox had a Pentium 3, I believe, which is basically a computer processor down to it. It's a computer processor. So porting it won't be hard. The issue that I see is that I really hope they don't cache grab this. I hope they don't put any kind of like cache or paywalls in it, or they just don't emulate a lot of games or games that people want to play. So somebody correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm not too sure about this, but I'm pretty sure PS4 or Sony did this with PS2 games, but there weren't that many PS2 games that were allowed in the PlayStation Store. So hopefully they give us a wide variety of games, because I emulate a lot of stuff. I use Dolphin a lot, and that's for GameCube and Wii games, and I absolutely love it. So I'm glad that emulation is getting more of a spotlight, because people have been asking for stuff like this for a very long time. So I'm glad Phil Spencer is definitely taking the time to even consider it. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and the chat is actually pointing out that the name came from DirectX, the DirectX box. Your guys are 100% correct actually on that. I'm sorry about that. I think I got a little bit ahead of myself, and when I saw the x86 they were talking about that, I put that together in my head, because I remembered that story about the DirectX thing. But you guys in the chat are 100% correct, so I'm not going to sweep that under the rug. I'm going to own up to that. You guys are right. I was wrong. It was based off of DirectX. But either way, it doesn't mean that it wouldn't be hard for them to port it because of the x86 chip that they did have running in the original Xbox, which is exciting. I'd like to play the Halo games on PC.
Yeah, that would be pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Um, hopefully they should port those. I mean, this should be like their number one to port over. So
Certainly. Okay, so we're going to be having quite a bit of stuff now on games. The first thing is on Metro Exodus. I saw this. They showed this during the Microsoft press conference, which someone in the chat had mentioned earlier, just before the stream actually started, that they saw an interview earlier with one of the developers from the studio that was 4A Games, that had been talking about that the demo at the Microsoft press conference was actually running on the PC, which didn't surprise me because it looked amazing.
yeah, it looked great.
Oh my god, like the graphics, everything just looked amazing. I loved Metro 2033 as well as Last Light. So I cannot wait for this game to come out, and the visuals are amazing. Just my god.
I mean, not just. I mean, the visuals are definitely amazing, but not even just that. Like the gameplay mechanics are great. I mean,
Yeah.
if you notice in the trailer, just the way he picks up the ammo and like how like intricate it is, like stuff like that. Even the little things just make it look amazing. So I'm pretty excited about it as well.
Yeah, and the way that this franchise has always kept everything first person, where it doesn't take you out of that for the narrative at all, also kind of reminds me of like Half-Life games, where
Yeah.
you're always in that first person perspective. You are this character, you're experiencing the story and the combat and everything that's happening as him, and it's the combat and stuff is visceral. I mean, you can see here like he's getting into fights, his gas mask is breaking, and if it breaks too much, you could take damage from the environment around you from whatever breathing in gas and stuff like that. So these games have always been good for me, just not just for visuals, but the gameplay also. So I cannot wait for this game to come out. It had a lot of people had been saying that maybe it might be open world based on what they had shown, but I didn't really think it was going to be open world right away, and it was confirmed that by Kit Guru this will not be open world. But it seems like it's kind of going to be like open like levels, almost kind of like maybe like Crisis 2 or Crisis 3, where you'll kind of come up to an area and you'll have a lot of different options to like maybe explore in set areas, but it's not going to be one gigantic open world.
Yeah, so it's definitely going to be non-linear, or at least less linear than the previous titles. And I don't mind that it's not going to be open world. I think nowadays a lot of games are becoming open world, and they're just not doing it as well as they think they can. So in all honesty, if Metro Exodus gives me a great game with another great story, like the open world aspect doesn't really matter as much. So I'd rather have them take their time with it. So.
Yeah, I just got up there because someone in the chat made a donation. Spaghetti Stain Sean made a donation of $2. Thank you for your donation to the channel, sir. He said, Halo and Halo 2 are already on the PC. Winky face, which he is correct about. I actually have a copy of Halo 2 for the PC right here. There it is.
Yeah, I don't know why I didn't mention it earlier. I actually used Halo in one of my videos as a benchmark. So.
Well, if they do emulate it, what I'm hoping if they emulate it, that it'll become more, I don't know, somewhat modernized, or maybe it'll just bring it back to the forefront so people will start playing it again.
Yeah.
Even though it had been on the PC before, maybe now that it'll be, on a modern storefront rather than having to own a disc like I have right here, because that's the only way you can play this is if you have the disc.
Yeah.
So you're
exactly.
basically going to be limited to the single player like I am. So I'm hoping that, if they put it on UWP and put it on the Windows 10 store, that there might actually be people playing this online, which would be great, because I don't know. The maps on this I thought were the best of the entire Halo series. Turf and Ascension were probably two of my favorite maps on this game.
Ascension was amazing.
Yeah. Me and my friends on split screen co-op, just like race for the sniper rifle, race for the rocket launcher at the top. It was just like, yep. That's what it was all about.
Yeah, it was great.
And also, Last Panther made a $5 donation as well. He just said, he. Okay. I'm not sure what the joke is, but I do appreciate the support to the channel as well. But yeah, Metro Exodus looks awesome. Cannot wait for this game to come out. Glad to see this franchise is being continued, because it's certainly one of my favorite single player games. Yeah, that'll be cool. Next up, I've got here Call of Duty, which the initial trailer that they showed at E3, I thought looked awesome. Like I was just like, and I was excited for this game and going back to World War II. And all of that. But after watching Jack Fragg's gameplay video, where he put up 13 minutes of gameplay, I'm kind of not
like skeptical about it.
Yeah, I'm just like, it looked just like every other Call of Duty, and the trailer made it look like so like way more epic. It looked like there was like dozens and dozens of people on the battlefield, almost like Battlefield. That's what they kind of made it look like, was like Battlefield. But after watching Jack Fragg's video, it just looks like another Call of Duty, except where you're pushing a linear objective, sort of like Rush, which or like Operations, which was in Battlefield 1. It seems like that's where this new mode that Call of Duty World War II is pushing kind of came from.
Yeah, so I definitely think they took a page out of Battlefield 1's book because you can tell after Battlefield 1's trailer success, everybody was talking about it, like the hype around it was huge. So, they kind of just went back to the whole historical era instead of all this like futuristic stuff that they've been doing. In all honesty, after the original Modern Warfare, I stopped playing Call of Duty. I think that was their pinnacle almost. After that, it just kind of went downhill. And so my feelings for this game going into it, even after seeing the trailer, my expectations were pretty low. And I think the gameplay just kind of proves that it won't be anything that we haven't seen before. When it comes down to it, COD is an arcade FPS at best. And so you kind of have to like go into like when you're watching that trailer or you're watching gameplay, you kind of have to keep that in mind when you're watching it. I was hoping that, maybe they could turn it back around and like they did maybe with like World at War and Modern Warfare, but it's just COD being COD at this point. So
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what the final version, and also we did have a donation in chat from Todd Vanson. This was by far the biggest donation so far today. Was $10. It was absolutely freaking huge. He said he loves the content. Joker, keep telling it how it is. Also, the Trump impressions are hilarious. Thank you so much, Todd, for the biggest donation we've had today by far. Maybe the biggest donation I've ever seen. Okay.
Unfortunately, there was a delay between the live stream on YouTube and us talking, so I couldn't see your face during that. But I cannot wait until I see your face doing that, because hopefully you have like the eyes down and the lips and.
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, I get full into it, and also the way he uses the hands. He always has his hands like he's kind of pulling strings or something like that for like a puppet. He's got two fingers pressed together. And he's like.
Oh my gosh, that was perfect.
Good old Donald Trump. Gonna make gaming great again for AMD. Make AMD great again.
You could be their new PR manager, actually.
AMD or Donald Trump?
Both. Combine them.
Yes, they can. AMD can hire me to dress up as Donald Trump, and I'll just come out on the stage like, we're gonna make AMD great again. It's gonna be maybe the greatest AMD we've ever had.
Mic drop. Boom. That's all you need.
You could ask Sean Hannity. He'll tell you AMD is the greatest CPU manufacturer there's ever been.
Oh, man.
All right, so
classic.
Getting into our favorite games of E3, this first one we actually agreed. We had talked before the show, like what games we were going to include in this, and the first one we actually agreed on right away was the first one he mentioned, and it would have been the first one I mentioned as well, which is Wolfenstein II: The New Colossus. I seriously loved this reboot. I liked Doom as well. Like, they're doing awesome with this, and now they're bringing it into id Tech 6, which Doom was on, so we won't be limited to 60 FPS like we were on id Tech 5 with the previous Wolfenstein reboot game. And hopefully we'll get some really good Vulkan optimization as well if they bring in that API, which I hope they do even at launch. I hope they have that right at launch so that we can get really good Vulkan optimization. But the gameplay and everything otherwise, looks like a nice natural progression from the previous game. Nothing. I didn't really see anything that surprised me too much, out of the gameplay from the trailer. But the first game was amazing, so I just can't wait to play more of it.
Nobody kill me in the chat for this, but I actually haven't played the first Wolfenstein. I actually just bought it in order to play it because of this announcement. But the reason why I told you why I was so excited about it was so at work, one of my coworkers, his name is Ryan. He's like a huge Wolfenstein freak. He's played the game about like 6 or 7 times. And so he just told me the story about the game and how it works and like the gameplay mechanics. And just from that alone, that caused me to impulse buy it. I read a few reviews before I did, and I'm just starting to play it now. But this new trailer just gets me even more hyped to play this one and then continue on to the next one. So I'm very excited about that. And then the whole Vulkan thing coming into it, it looks like it's going to be a big win. Hopefully they don't screw anything up. But right now, it's looking like it's going to be a great game.
Oh, it looks amazing. I mean, the animations are just so good, and it's all right in the combat. Like it's seamless. That's what was so good about the New Order, which I'm sure you're
Exactly.
experiencing now.
Yeah.
It's just so freaking good. I mean, it's nothing crazy. I mean, it's just kind of a card or first person shooter, but
Hmm.
they do everything right. I mean,
Just so
they
well.
just nail it. Like the animations are just so visceral and brutal and completely smooth and seamless. And I love this game. I mean, this was it really just went back to my roots. I mean, the first PC game that I ever played was Wolfenstein 3D on my father's 386
Oh
PC.
yeah, I forgot they had a really old version as well.
Yeah, there was a bunch of them. Those were
Yeah.
that was the first PC game that I ever played. I remember having it on a pirated copy on a 3.5-inch floppy drive that my uncle gave us, because that's how it was back then. Everything was shareware back then, and
Yeah.
that was the first PC game I ever played, and I loved it. I couldn't get past like the fourth level because I was like 5 years old, but it was because it was hard. Shit was hard, man. You had to play on easy, and it was still hard for me back then at that age. But yeah, I loved the reboot. They nailed it. They completely nailed it, and I can't wait to play this game. And
Yeah,
they
I'm
did a
I'm
great
looking
job
forward
on
to it.
Doom also. Like Doom was great,
Yeah, Doom was a good game and it was optimized very, very well. So
amazing.
I have good things. I have good feelings about this. So
I mean, yeah, with Intech 6, I mean, once they had the Vulkan, patch introduced, I mean, you could see RX 480s getting performance like close to a GTX 1080
yeah.
because of how well it ran on AMD cards. It was nuts. But all right, so next up is Bioware's new IP Anthem. This one definitely excited me as well, and this was on your list that you sent over to me. What was most exciting to you about this game?
So honestly, I think the trailer, just by the looks, it looked pretty good. But after reading into it a little bit more, I'm a bit skeptical to see just how well it does. Like, it definitely looks good. And from what I know, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's a platform exclusive. Like, it's only on console so far. Um,
This makes
that's
me
what's been
angry.
announced. Yeah, so
You
I
wouldn't
don't
like
think
me
we
when I'm
have.
angry.
Yeah, what's his name? Phil. I think he's already gotten the worst of that so far. So um, I don't think we have any PC information yet about it. Um, and in all honesty, BioWare hasn't made the best games as of late.
No,
So
they
the new
haven't.
Mass Effect, yeah, the new Mass Effect wasn't very good. Dragon Age Inquisition wasn't very good either. So while the game looks great from a trailer, I've learned that E3 trailers really don't tell you much about the game. So I'm keeping my standards low. I'm hoping to get surprised and to keep my standards high and get let down. But
Yeah,
hopefully it's a good game.
as Isaac Locke said in the chat, he said you sacrificed Mass Effect for this. Well, I mean, I agree with you there. I mean, if they did though, if that's true, if they really did sacrifice Mass Effect Andromeda to this, because they handed that over to a secondary studio, it was not handled by the main studio that did the previous Mass Effects games. And in
Yeah.
agreement with you. Dragon Age Inquisition was not as good as the previous games, or
Mm-mm.
well, Origins really. I thought
Yeah.
Origins
So
was the best one.
they got like a new team for all the newer games, right? That's as far as I know.
Yeah,
Like the older people left, and so that's when it really started going downhill. So
yeah. I mean, if they put all their resources into working on this game rather than Mass Effect Andromeda, because maybe they wanted to move on from the franchise, which is understandable. I was fine with just a trilogy from Mass Effect. I mean, I was happy to see it return, but only if it was going to be as good as the other games. But if this was what they put all of their energy and resources into, and then I hope it's as good as what I wanted Mass Effect to be, because otherwise, it looks pretty darn good. You've got
yeah.
the it's kind of like an open world kind of shared RPG experience. So you'll be able to drop in and out with friends. I saw some of this kind of looks kind of Titanfall esque, kind of Titanfall slash Mass Effecty.
Hmm.
But I love sci-fi stuff. So as long as they can do this right, then awesome.
You'll be happy.
Yeah, I mean, the visuals look incredible.
Yeah, the visuals
It's
look
just
amazing.
it's all going to come down to the gameplay and the story for me, which for as far as the good BioWare games anyway, like the Mass Effect trilogy and Dragon Age Origins, it's all about the narrative. It's all about the story and the interactions between the different characters. So if they can get all of that down, then I'll be on board 100% because the visuals they're nailing it as far as
Yeah,
that's
the
concerned.
visuals are definitely there. Just have to make it more engaging. So we'll see. We'll definitely see.
Yep. Next up is what is it? A Way Out. This is from the developers that worked on Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons, which was an indie game which got insanely good reviews. I like that game quite a bit. I played through it by myself. But this game is definitely stepping it up. They're now going the way of AAA. They've teamed up with EA, and the visuals are representing that also. And this is looking like it's going to be a straight co-op game for local as well as online. And it's really unique in the sense that it's going to have, even if you're playing online, it's going to have a split screen setting. So you'll be able to see both players' perspectives in real time, and it looks like that's going to tie in with the gameplay as well, where there was some sort of like scenes, because you start out kind of in prison. It looks like you start out in prison, or at least some part of the story is in prison. So you have to break out of prison, which is awesome. I love prison break stuff. Movies, TV shows, whatever. So having that setting is really cool, and then the real-time co-op setting is also amazing. And like you'll maybe have one person, kind of maybe sneaking around the jail to kind of maybe if you steal a key or something while the other guy has to distract the guard. That's just a for instance, but that seems like how it's going to kind of tie together, where everything is perfectly synced together in real time with split screen. And it seems really unique from what I've seen so far, and I can't wait to play this one.
So it looks very good. I don't really have much to say about it. I think depending on how the reviews go and how the gameplay is, I'll definitely pick it up. It looks very interesting. I just really hope that they take advantage of the whole real-time co-op thing, and they give you lots of scenarios where the real-time co-op can actually be put in place, because I think that would be a driving force for this game, because you can use it in a lot of instances, especially for like a prison break, like you mentioned, the whole distracting a guard and somebody else stealing the key. So I really hope that they take advantage of that. But other than that, A Way Out looks pretty good.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. I have a buddy who I pretty much play everything in co-op with, and so I can't wait to play this with him. If it's anywhere near as good as Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons, I can't wait, because that game had an incredible story, especially for a game that had no talking in it.
Okay, you see, I haven't played it. I really need to get up on my Steam library. Is very sad if you look at it. So I need to definitely up that a little bit.
Well, my Steam library is definitely not sad, and I have my family share plan is currently maxed out with my friends, because they're all like,
oh my god,
like all my friends are like, I have 3 friends that are constantly shuffling around having access to my Steam family share account because of how many games I have. I think I have like 357 games.
Holy crap.
And so they're just like, hey, did you get the new Resident Evil? Did you get this game? I'm just like, yeah, of course. Like, can I use the account? I'm like, go ahead. I don't care. I'm not going to play it.
Yeah,
I benchmark it. Therefore, I'm done with it.
Yeah, a lot of the games actually, my Steam account is sadder than it looks, because a lot of the games I have, I just use them for benchmarks and I don't even play them. Yep. So I have like 50 games in my Steam library, but probably about 25 to 30% of those I haven't touched because I just benchmarked. So,
yep.
Yeah.
Well, based on what you were telling me, it looks like Far Cry 5 might be one of the games, or that'll be on Uplay. But you can usually get those games on Steam. But yeah.
Yeah. Generally speaking, it doesn't look like it's going to be anything revolutionary. I think they're playing it kind of safe here, but I'm personally excited to see how it turns out. It looks like they're definitely using some features that we're seeing in Far Cry Primal, like the taming skill. It looks like they're taking it to a personal level with Boomer the dog. The story looks kind of interesting. It's basically like a cultist. It looks like a cultist is taking over a city or a town, and you basically have to stop it. Not super realistic, but for a game, I think it's fine. But I'm pretty excited about it. I know a lot of people have mixed feelings for it, but it looks good from what I've seen.
Yeah, the only thing that really honestly interests me so far about Far Cry 5 is the setting, seeing that they're not in some foreign land. It's in America, which I think that kind of interests me. And if they can, kind of evolve the gameplay and make this franchise good again, at least for me, because I played the original game. I also played Far Cry 2, which for me was the best one. I thought Far Cry 2 was the best game in this franchise. And Far Cry 3, I enjoyed as well. But once they started to clone that with Far Cry 4, which it was, I mean, they just basically said,
Yeah.
okay, we got this formula with Far Cry 3, which basically combines first-person shooter with Assassin's Creed with having the climbable towers, which is in pretty much every Ubisoft game, and it kind of just turns it into busy work simulator.
Yeah.
That kind of took me out of it for Far Cry 4, and I lost interest completely. Even though I had fun in Far Cry 3, I still didn't think it was good as Far Cry 2 from a narrative standpoint or a gameplay standpoint. Even though it had nicer visuals and all of that, but Far Cry 2 was the best in the series. So unless they're going to, kind of not stick with what they know is going to work, like Far Cry 3 and 4, then I probably won't have much interest. But I'm sure this game will be successful because Far Cry 3 and 4 were both successful. I guess that's what people with open world games want. They want busy work, which kind of bothers me as a gamer that looks for narrative and stuff. But
Yeah, I definitely think story is one of the most important parts in games. And I think that's why I didn't like Far Cry Primal that much. I just thought
yeah,
the story was kind of boring and not engaging. You find other people in your tribe and you kind of just go from there. There were some highlights of it, but in all honesty, if the story isn't there, then the game is not it's not going to be that fun. So this story actually looks kind of intriguing. So I'm hoping that that will definitely be a driving force here.
yeah, I didn't even mention Far Cry Primal there because I had totally forgot about it. That game I didn't even find worth benchmarking. That game was not good. I'm sorry. It's like I thought the whole setting was kind of interesting at first. Like, oh, caveman, that's kind of interesting and different. But yeah, the gameplay was not there, and also
Yeah,
and at launch they had a lot of performance issues with that particular title, so that took me out of it right away.
yeah. It was definitely a messy release.
Yep.
Yeah, I benchmarked it because I had an in-game benchmark, and that cuts down so much time. So
Well, it's definitely good for side by side comparisons because you can really show there's no interpretation to it. There's no possibility of messing up or anything. So it's nice when they do have the in-game benchmarks, which Ubisoft usually does. But
yeah,
the best game they've done in the recent years has been Rainbow Six Siege. I play that game all the time.
that game was great.
That's my main go-to right now is Rainbow Six Siege. So they need to just
Yeah,
keep doing that.
just Rainbow Six Siege every single time.
I've been trying to honestly figure out who developed Rainbow Six Siege, but it's almost impossible. Like if you go on their Wikipedia page, it has like 6 different divisions within
Yeah,
Ubisoft listed, and because they don't, it's not like Ubisoft is a publisher and then they hire on like a developer to make it. It's like they've got Ubisoft Montreal, Ubisoft Singapore, Ubisoft Toronto, whatever. It's all just Ubisoft studios, so I can never seem to figure out who made which game. So I could say, okay, well, this exact Ubisoft studio worked on Rainbow Six Siege, so I'm going to follow those guys because I know
yes,
whatever games they put out are probably
it's
going to
gonna
be
be
on
good.
point. Yeah. It's really hard to follow Ubisoft because they have so many shitty games. And then Rainbow Six Siege, which is awesome. And they've continued to support that with free content. It's like the most non-Ubisoft game that there is.
Yeah, hopefully this one's good.
Yeah. But if anyone's got any questions for us in chat before we get on out of here, please throw them into the chat. We'll field a few questions, whether it be for Oz or for myself or about E3, what have you. Or if you're watching after the stream goes up, let us know what games you liked so far out of E3 or out of E3 in general. E3 is still kind of going on right now, but they've pretty much wrapped up all the presentations, so we kind of know what is going to be shown off now at this point.
Yeah, all the big games and everything have been showcased at this point. So it's in the ending stages. But yeah, questions if anybody has them.
Yeah, I do see people in chat talking about Ethereum. I just recently started a mining rig myself. I've got 2 390s in there and a 560.
So how powerful is the 560 in terms of mining?
Not a lot, not bad,
Not a
not
lot.
good at
Okay.
all. No, it's I basically just threw it in there because it was sitting here, and I was just like, I may as well. I mean, it doesn't draw a lot of power, so it's
Okay.
like, I mean, there's no reason I couldn't throw it into the system, so I just did.
Okay. So do you think it's worth the $100 for mining, for instance?
For mining, I think it would be hard to recommend it for mining. I mean, it's definitely cheaper than what you're going to pay for other cards out there, like the 570 and the 580 right now, because you're going to pay like, I mean,
Yeah.
the 58 like 480s and 580s are going for $300 to $400 right now on eBay used. I looked. Um, So I
Yeah.
mean, and the 560s, I looked at those as well, and those are still going for around $100. They haven't been marked up at all. So I would say that most people are probably not going after them for mining, although they would be pretty good as far as keeping the electricity bill down.
Yeah, definitely. If that's an issue, but from what I know, right now, the profit that you make from mining will pay for the electricity bill in like a week
Yeah, there's
or
there's
so.
webs
So
there's kilohash websites you can go to calculate what you'll be able to make back based on, your GPU's, KH rating and all of that stuff. So, and it'll take electricity into account and everything like that.
hmm
Right now, I'm averaging, I think it's like maybe like $30 profit a day,
okay,
which is not
that's pretty
terrible.
solid.
Yeah,
I mean, for not really doing anything, I mean, that's
it's
it's like
just
free 30 bucks.
all the only consequence is that it makes the room hotter. But it's summer anyway, so I have the air conditioner on no matter what.
Yeah. So
Uh, Necro East, he made a $10 donation. Thank you very much for the donation. Did not drop a question though, but thank you very much for the support, sir, and everyone that donated today. Let's see if we got any questions. What do you think about The Last Night? I don't think I checked that one out, unfortunately.
the last night. Are you waiting for Cyberpunk 2077? That's another one.
Oh yeah, I'm really waiting for Cyber. I can't wait for that game.
Yeah,
I
I'm very
I
excited.
love the entire Witcher series from beginning through Witcher 3 and all of the DLCs. I played them all. So anything from CD Projekt Red from now on, I mean, they basically have my money. I don't
Yeah.
care what they work
Yeah.
on, they'll get my money. Necro, he followed up with another $5 donation. I guess he forgot to put his question. You could have just asked it in the chat, man. You didn't have to make a second donation. He said, "What do you think about the Last Night indie game?" I don't know what it is, but now after you made 2 donations, I kind of feel inclined to look it up.
Yeah, I'm looking
The
it up
Last
right
Night.
now.
What is that? Last Night E3 2017 reveal trailer. Let's take a look. Xbox One and PC in 2018. I'm not going to play the audio because I don't want to get a copyright strike if they got music. The visuals look pretty nice. I'm trying to figure out what it is exactly. It's got a lot of likes.
Yeah.
Oh, the art style looks interesting. Oh, it's a pixel art game. I saw another.
Oh,
I saw another game. Actually, I think I did see this game. Yes, I did see this game. Actually, I did see this game. I remember seeing this now. This actually, yes, this looks quite good.
I
Yeah,
mean, just based on the art style itself, it looks pretty interesting. It's something that I'd probably check out.
yeah. I do remember seeing this, and I remember thinking how insane it was that they combined pixel art with like modern visual effects
Yeah, that's
and side scroller, and it looks awesome. There was another game that I saw. I think it was called like Valfari or something like that. Yeah, Valfaris. That's what it was. Valfaris reminded me of this as well. Although they didn't show too much gameplay at all. They had a trailer which was kind of like a teaser, but
hmm
it's in the same kind of art style with the whole pixel art thing.
yeah, with
And
like all the lighting. Does it have like the lighting and stuff that The Last Night has? Like the modern graphics?
unfortunately they haven't shown like literally any gameplay. But they what they really sold me on is that it's called the Heavy Metal Space Saga. So that's basically at that point they sold me. Like they had me at Heavy
Heavy
Metal
Metal
and Space.
Space.
They had me at Heavy Metal Space Saga is with Velfaris. But yeah, last night I do remember seeing that trailer during E3 and it does look really interesting. I love the art style on this. I will certainly be playing this and picking it up. Let's see. Do we have any more questions in the chat? Someone said
Um,
end of the month for Vega. Yeah, it's supposed to be at SIGGRAPH. That's from AMD themselves, which is at the end of July. So that's when Vega is expected. RX Vega cards are coming out, whereas the Pro cards are coming out at the end of the month. Frontier
yeah,
Edition.
yeah. Frontier should be, I think it's June 30th. I think
Some people.
something like that. It's end of this month. I know that for sure.
Bugs Love of Gaming. No news yet on Ryzen 3. People are asking about Anthem. We actually just discussed Anthem a few minutes ago. We talked about Anthem. So if you
Yep.
guys rewind back or wait until the stream is over, you'll be able to go back as well. But yeah, we already talked about Anthem.
I talked about Ryzen R3 a little bit too.
Last
But
Panther said he wants to
basically,
get me playing BF1 or BF4 with him. Unfortunately, I don't really play those games anymore. I kind of got lost interest in BF1. I did not. It was good at launch, and then it just kind of died off for me. Probably for the lack of new content coming out. Why are my headphones are crackling like really bad? Like
Well,
there's like a cell phone
aren't they
call
making like
coming in or
a
something.
DLC or a new
But I'm not getting
expansion
a
for
call.
VF1? Wasn't that shown at
Yeah,
E3?
I'm losing audio altogether. What's going on? It's really weird. I keep losing you, and my headphones are crackling. I think my DAC is dying.
Yeah, I don't think you
Which I
can
guess
hear
is
me.
convenient because I have a brand new DAC next to me. I'm gonna have to like hold the wire because otherwise it keeps crackling. I don't know why that's happening. That's really odd. Let's see if we got any more questions in the chat.
Can you hear me, Joker?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. Just making sure.
And then you faded out. You keep coming in and out. Honestly,
Yeah.
it's not your
Yeah,
fault though. I think it's something with my DAC. I don't what this just started happening out of nowhere. What's going on? This is so weird. Yeah, I can hear you like right now as long as I don't move.
Okay. Just don't move
I'm not gonna
for
move.
like the next like 2 minutes, and then we'll be good.
Yeah, we're gonna be getting out of here anyway.
Yeah.
Someone asked what we think about Destiny 2. I didn't. Well, the first Destiny game didn't come out on PC, so I didn't get to play it. But the fact that the second one's coming out on PC means I'll at least get to try it out. Although from what I saw of the first one, I wasn't super excited about it because it kind of looked like Borderlands in space.
That's what a lot of people are saying. I never played the original Destiny. Just off the reviews alone, I didn't pick it up. Apparently it wasn't like an awful game, but there was a lot left to be desired. So.
Yes, people are saying the audio is fine. I have no doubt. The audio was like I could tell it's just on my end as far as my headphones or my DAC is concerned because it was just crackling noise in my headphones, which sometimes will happen. Like if I get a phone call or a text message on my phone, like it'll create some sort of audio interference, but it was just nonstop. But it seems okay now, actually. Someone had asked if the show is going to be back next week. I'll have to see. I had been doing the show like you guys had seen. I had been doing it with Tech Deals for a few weeks, but he was not committed to doing it for every week. Like he was not a permanent co-host, and he's wanting to branch out into being able to not limit himself to just one live show. So he's wanting to do other shows as well. So he doesn't want to commit to doing it every single week. So I would definitely love to still continue doing TGW every week. Granted, I can find someone that will commit to doing it as well every single week.
Okay.
So that's kind of where I am on that right now because I had been kind of fishing around for guests for a while since like summer of last year to have for every week, and it got kind of over like just daunting trying to find a new person every single week to get on the show. It's quite a bit of work doing that and getting everyone to line up as far as time is concerned. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But I definitely appreciate you joining me this week, Oz. It was awesome having you on finally.
Yeah, it was great being here. I definitely enjoyed it. If you want me to come back again, I'm always free. So just let me know.
Yeah, for sure. You are always welcome on the stream. And be sure, guys, if you haven't checked out Oz already, I linked to his channel right down in the description below. Go check him out. Subscribe and everything like that, and go support him. He does awesome content over there on PC hardware and graphics card and all that good stuff. So definitely go and check out Oz over there. But I think we're going to go ahead and get on out of here now. I'm going to go hang out and probably get some dinner. It's getting kind of late. So hope everyone has a good week, and you as well, Oz. And yeah, we'll catch you guys next time.
Good night.
All right, guys. Later.